What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Hey, I'm UFC President Dana White, and you're in the ring with Callum McGregor.
Let's go!
Let's go! Yeah, it was that in the main event when I was talking about the Scotsman coming in with the power. You just don't know. It is lower level, but I mean, he gets hit a bunch of times and then it just drops him first round. You knew everybody was going to come in for violence. So that was just like, I think it was like plus 400. That it was just for KO, right? Alone. And then I don't know what the first round prop was, but anyways, nuts. What did you like about it was a completely different week of fights for Dana White Contender Series. Everybody just came in guns just blazing. Marshall was the pick. I sort of was on the other side of with a lot of people. And Marshall just looked good. His stand-up looked obviously I didn't see that stand-up coming. His stand-up looked solid. Little bit high up still, but he has a good sense of his range. So I mean, his distance sort of and his range. So but you might want to tuck that chin a little bit. I think some people will expose that, but between that and his wrestling and his grappling, man, that guy's a problem.
For sure. The only thing I have to say about him, though, is it definitely showed a little bit of poor fight IQ where there's a couple times, like in the first and second round, especially, where he could have finished that fight, man. And like, I'll admit I'm a little bitter because the only thing that didn't hit for me was that fight not going the distance. And it was like minus 400 or something stupid as it was. So, but yeah, man, like he looked super impressive. Props to his opponent who kept himself in there. I don't know. The only one that I didn't like was the Ross fight. It's not the fact I didn't like it. It's just I don't like the Anderson Silva style of showboating from his opponent. I thought
he has some cool like moments, but really his striking is not very good. He's gonna get exposed really fast.
Yeah, like I even said in one of my chats, man.
Sloppy.
That's it. Like that's an ultimate fade for me. Whenever like those kicks that he's doing were almost look like a Michael Jackson breakdown move where he's just like tapping the ankle. I'm like, dude, like you do this against any elite striker and they're gonna clean your clock. Like
he was doing like a soccer back kick. Like he was doing a back kick behind. It was a back pass. Like,
well, what's that gonna do? That's gonna expose yourself for a counter. Like that's never gonna get your opponent out of there, nor do any sort of damage.
Yeah, I wasn't really overly impressed with him. I was more impressed with Ross in that fight. I actually thought they might even give Ross a contract just because he kept, like, he showed a chin, sure, but he was in it. Like, he was in it nonstop. He wasn't really wavering. Like, and he wasn't really, even though he was getting dropped, like, he was still, focused on the prize, and he has some solid striking. He was stepping and putting himself into some danger spots a little bit too much. So, but yeah, Dana White Contender Series was definitely entertaining. But let's take a look at the Ultimate Fighter finale. We have Thiago Santos against Jamal Hill, and we'll start from the top, I guess. I'll let you take the run on this one. I think a lot of people know really what we're going to look at. We're going to see some volume and violence versus some lack of volume and violence. A potential of a one shot from Santos, but I'll let you take the lead on this one, and then I'll jump in with my thoughts. Yeah, what's the line sitting at currently?
Right now Jamal Hill's sitting at a minus 315 with the return on Thiago Santos being a plus 265. And I'll be the first to say, man, this line's wide. Like, I think it's a little wider than it should be. I don't think we've really seen enough out of Jamal Hill to really justify this. Like, I have a lot of questions about if this fight gets extended, how is he going to look? Like, if you look at all of his fights, man, you got round one, round two. Like, he definitely, other than his fight against Darko Stolfik, he hasn't really been extended that much in his career. And I know a lot of people are looking at like the KO and the first round KO, and like I personally don't see it. I suspect this fight to be more or less, if it's going to end, I see it ending late, just because Thiago Santos, regardless if he has the volume nowadays, he still has the power. There's not a lot of guys that have come in there and finished him. I don't think he's ever even lost by KO. So, and I don't really think Jamal Hill's that guy to do it, to be honest. I do see Jamal Hill winning this fight. He'll definitely have the more pressure. He's definitely a more eager fight to be in there. But I don't think he's going to want to actually fully engage the way he has in the other guys. Because as I said, like Thiago Santos will still clean his clock. He did the same thing to Ankalaev, right? Whenever Thiago Santos and Ankalaev fought, in the second round, I believe it was, Ankalaev just thought he can take control and he got hit with that big right hand, and he got put down. So I think the power side's still going to be on Thiago Santos, and but as I said, I do lean Jamal Hill. I just think he's the younger, hungrier fighter. Thiago Santos is 38. I feel like he's kind of fighting out his contract at this point. So, and just a sneaky little prop, like the Jamal Hill by decision is plus 500 right now. So
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think violence is ultimately one of the best spots here. If you can find a line, I don't know what the lines are sitting at currently right now. If you can take a look, but violence to some respect is obviously the spot, and I think that we may get a little bit of room on those, maybe because of what happened in the last Santos fight against Jamal Walker or against Walker. But with Hill, I don't think he's going to respect him at all. I think he's going to march forward, and I think that that's where you're going to get a clash one way or the other. That being said, I think it is going to be Hill that's going to land way more shots. The volume is going to come in, and I don't think he's going to respect Santos too much. I think he's going to be able to stay out of trouble for the most part. And I know we always talk about the knee surgeries and the having to learn how to walk again, all these things, and him coming back into his fight career and not being the same anymore. But he really is just sort of a waiting target with power. He's like a tower with a couple cannons left. I know I always use these weird ass fucking metaphors, but there's not much defense there left, man. Like he's got this swinging hooks and chance of catching Hill, but I think Hill's just got some nice straight shots. I think he's be able to mix it up, and I just see a Hill spot here. I think he's going to put Santos at the pasture, and I think that's it. But I think violence is the bet if you can find a line. So what are the lines currently sitting at?
fight doesn't go the distance right now. It's minus 325. Plus 250
Yeah.
fight goes. Yeah, there's not much. Even Jamal Hill by KO is minus 150.
Okay.
So
And we'll have to take a look at maybe under 2.5 or
under 2.5 is minus 185 right now.
yeah. Because I don't see it going longer than that, man. I don't think it's going to go longer than that. That could be maybe a parlay piece if you're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But or you just look at the idea of Hill in a parlay piece with a hedge of Santos KO if you really want to.
Yeah.
I would stay away from that. I've started to try to stay away from that a little bit more because I think it's just a little bit sloppy. Sometimes you just set up for the hedge too much and you just spend. It just doesn't make sense. So next fight in the card, we will jump to Vicente Luque against Jeff Neal. With Vicente Luque and Neal, obviously, if this stays on the feet, that's going to give Neal his chance to maybe want to try to put Luque out, but I wouldn't really want to do that. He knows that he's going to want to try to take him down as well too. But I think that with what Neal's done in the past is he's going to really his fight IQ is not quite where it needs to be at times. And I think that if he can try to press Luque up against the cage, tire Luque out, make it a little bit dirty and scrambly that way, up against the cage, dirty box, and mix it up that way with some strikes, it gives him a chance. But I just think Luque, if it goes to the ground, is going to have a shot at a submission right away. On the feet is where I think you're going to see most of this play out, and I think that's where Neal's going to get outclassed. I think Luque is just going to touch him up 2-1. Not enough volume from Neal, we know that. So I just see either probably a Luque decision or potentially Luque late sloppy submission or a late TKO finish in the third round. So my pick would probably be Luque third round and decision. For this one, a little sloppy in the entry to the breakdown of this fight, but I just think that Neal he's gonna have to try to mix in some wrestling, but not try to fully stay on the ground and be an idiot and drop into Luque's guard and play in that realm because that's just not where you want to be. But we will see how it plays out. I'm not that big on Neal. I think this is a Luque spot, but I think the line is starting to creep wide. So I think whether you're going to go Luque decision or Luque third round and decision, that would be my play.
Yeah, honestly, man, you kind of hit the nail on the head with this one. I'm pretty high on Luque myself in this. I think with Jeff Neal, although we all thought he might be an up-and-coming prospect, I just don't really see him as being that type of fighter anymore. I think Vicente Luque kind of is going to be better everywhere. He's got a 1-inch reach advantage as well. He's got the more dynamic striking, and if it hits the ground, it's 100% goes in his advantage. Prop-wise, I don't really know how to play this one, to be honest, because if you look at both guys, Luque lands almost 6 strikes per minute. Jeff Neal lands about 5 strikes per minute. Luque absorbs 6 strikes per minute, where Jeff Neal absorbs 5 strikes per minute. So they're both going to get hit. They're both going to get hit a lot. But I think the minus 180 on Vicente Luque is just, for me, it's a parlay piece, and I think it's just kind of the only way I tackle this one, because as much as I think Vicente Luque wins, I really struggle on where I put it, which is why, for example, last week with Pantoja, like that submission was live, but prop wise, just I looked at that fight, man. I'm like, I see this fight ending in all three ways. And that's how I feel about Vicente Luque in this spot. Regardless if he chooses to take a more slow approach towards it, or if he goes out there guns blazing, or if he shoots a double leg and goes for his back right away. I don't know. So I like Vicente Luque. I think minus 180 is a better price tag than I think, or than I thought we should get on it. So
Yeah, I think like even with I think it was a Ponzinibbio fight for Neil where he started throwing a little more volume, which actually brings his strikes per minute up. I think that was the case. It was against Ponzinibbio, but for him, I just don't see even if he brings that volume up, it still plays into what Luque wants to do. He wants to bang. He's got a chin on him. So, like you're saying, I just think Luque's got this covered in every realm. So I am with you on that one. Next fight on the card, we move on to the brother of who everybody is calling this GOAT, and they're pushing aside GSP still, and his title defenses aren't there yet. Man's not there yet, and I don't know what they're doing. They're trying to market, obviously, I guess, but Dana keeps talking about him being the best, but Kamaru Usman is not. I don't know if I would say he is the GOAT yet. Not there in my books. What do you think?
I think he's creeping there, but I definitely don't think he's there just yet. I think he's got a couple more to go. But it's hard to say, right? Completely different eras. I think with Kamaru Usman needs to stop fighting these guys twice. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that'll actually make a difference. See if he has a little more of a strength of schedule in the way of just a little bit more of a variance
That's
as a
it. Like you
champion,
got
that'll make it.
like between Masvidal twice and Colby Covington twice, even if he has 7 or 8 title defenses, about 50% of them was fought against the same two guys. So it's to me, it's hard to say. Where GSP, he fought everybody. So I think, as I said, he needs to pick up some more wins.
He ain't at GSP's level. But that being said, neither is his brother. Oh my lord, is he not? This is pretty clear cut as to why he made it the Ultimate Fighter. I can't see any reason why. This is like a Diaz friend situation that made it on to do the show and then onto the card. I watched tape. His striking, like there's some pressure there. We got some heavyweights, right? So when you have pressure and whatever else, you can maybe touch somebody, but his striking is so wide. His hooks are so wide. His head is exposed. I thought potentially that he had a chin. You know, I was like, oh, wait a minute, he has a chin as I'm watching tape. And then obviously he gets clipped by Sales and watching that tape. And it's like, okay, the chin's not there because he just lets volume of a heavyweight tag him. He leaves his head wide open and you see him just taking 1 shot, 2 shots. And eventually those add up. And if you have a jaw, that's great. You may actually have a jaw, but he's just not defensively sound at all. He's just coming up the middle, marching forward. Obviously, he's trying to shoot for takedowns as well, too. And that's going to be his only path to success potentially against Zach Pega. Is it Pega?
I think so, yeah.
The one thing I noticed about Paiga is he had some decent get up game. He did get stuck on the mat in some of the tape that I did see, but he's fishing for submissions as well too to try to get back to his feet. But on the feet, this is not even the same ball game. There's a wide out barroom brawler throwing punches down the middle against who would be a skilled boxer that's in the bar at the same time. There's going to be 5 shots to 1 landed, and that one, I don't even know if that's going to land. So he's just going to get, I'm not saying that he's a skilled boxer. That's not what I'm saying, but he has straight down the pipe shots. His stand-up game is pretty solid. So I think that Zach's going to run away with this one, either to decision, because he may get stalled up a little bit here or there, but he's just going to land the bigger shots, or by KO. But what is the decision prop? Because I actually sort of like that.
Only plus 150.
Yeah, they see it too, I guess. But
yeah.
Yeah, let me just reiterate. I'm not saying that he is this crazy, amazing boxer, but his striking is just much cleaner. And I think that Usman's going to make him look like a boxer. And really, I just don't see it going anywhere the other way. I don't know if you see anything else that you could see. Maybe Usman gets the takedown early and figures something out on the ground, but I just don't see it, man. I think he's going to end up getting gassed out and potentially the 3rd round, or just be sloppily beat up all the way to the end of a decision. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think Usman's major win condition is going to be the KO. I don't foresee him getting a decision in the spot because with Zach, he's going to be outlanding him, as you said, like 5-1. His boxing is a lot crisper. He's a lot more technical with the striking. where once again, as you said, like you hit the nail on the head with this one. Usman just throws real wild shots. And even if he shoots those power double legs and he gets it down early, I feel like he's going to gas later down the stretch. Where with Zach, most of his wins are coming by decision. So I'm on Zach on this one. I think he probably gets it done. I think he probably gets it done by decision, but it's a little bit dicier. There is kind of a cool prop on Bet Online where they're doing point spreads now, where Zach Pega is minus 3.5 points. So, coming out with
Okay.
different ways to tackle these things, I guess.
And
But
on Bodog, is it up yet for third rounder decision? Probably not yet.
give me 2 seconds. I'll check it out.
Yeah, because I mean that's possibly a play I'd look at as well too. It's either a late finish from just a gas from Usman, and he's able to do what he wants to him at will, and or a decision. Decisions are definitely I think the strongest play though.
Yeah, for sure. Like I definitely see him just outboxing him, getting him frustrated. And once again, like maybe that could lead to the KO because Usman maybe will start throwing a little bit more wild. But I think he definitely gets a decision in the spot. I'm just pulling this up for you now. It says they got 10 bets available. Yeah, round wins by round 3 decision plus 150.
See, I sort of like that spot. Sort of gives you a little bit of an out if it finishes late, but I think decision is likely the play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Next fight on the card, Brogan Walker against Julianna Miller. I don't have a hot take on this one. Tried to watch as much tape as I could. With Brogan Walker seems to be a little bit more well-rounded, more so than Julianna Miller. And we know this. We think the idea is she's more of a grappler. She's going to come in and try to get this to the ground as fast as possible. But I mean, it's a grinder grappler against a decent striker who's shown that she can gas a little bit and potentially let you get back in the fight. I mean, this is small sample size. It's pretty lower level. It's pretty hard. And I think I only had a hotter take on the heavyweight fight in this lower level situation for that fight too, was more because it was an Usman's brother. It just was really sloppy to watch. It's really hard to get a take on this one. I think that it's best to maybe just go with the dog. I think Miller right now is dog money still. I think the line might be moving, but what's the line sitting at?
Right now the line is sitting at 1 second here. It's sitting at where did this thing go? Minus 108 for Walker and minus 112 for Miller. So it's essentially a pick 'em at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's potentially even a stay away or maybe over a 1.5, but I'm sorry, over 2.5. But for me, it's just tough, man. I could see this fight if you were to have them fight each other in the cage with the tape that I saw. If you had them fight 10 times, it's like almost 50-50. It's almost down the middle how this plays out. I think the Brogan Walker being a little bit more well-rounded probably likely is a better bet for decision. But I mean, I don't know. I think that's maybe where I would lean with this one, maybe Walker by decision. But what's your take on this? Like I said, I don't really have a hot take on this, so don't really listen to me on this one. But what is your take on this one?
Hey man, this goes against everything I believe in, man. It's low level and it's women's MMA. So
Okay, well, let's not get crazy now.
but no, I mean, like this thing with Walker, right? This is kind of a striker versus grappler type situation for me. I think that Walker will be able to land the better strikes on the feet. She's just a little bit more technical. Where with Miller, I feel like if she gets it to the ground, then it's definitely in her world. With Walker, you saw her do really good on The Ultimate Fighter, but there was that one fight where she looked good for the first round and a half, and then spent the third round with her back in with her back on back control position. So she almost got subbed in that spot. As I said, even the over is minus 330. The only thing I would touch on this would maybe be Miller by submission at plus 500 as a sprinkle, because I feel like if she gets it down early and often, then the submission is going to be live, especially if she's the one that's making Walker work. But other than that, I wouldn't really touch this fight. There's just so many variables. One's like 2-1 with a 6-fight amateur career. Like it's just, there's not a big enough sample size here to really get a confident read on it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, don't take my word on it. Go with a little bit more lean with what you're saying about it. But for me, I would just stay away from it altogether. It feels like a Dana White Contender Series spot that I don't want to touch. And yeah, I get it. It's Ultimate Fighter. But who watches that anymore? Okay. Next fight on the card, we have Augusto Sakai against Sergey Spivak. this is going to be likely an under situation. I don't know what the under is actually set for. I don't know what the fight doesn't go is set for, but it's probably juiced up pretty decently. So when the under situation would be probably if you're gonna bet like a round prop, would likely be the play. We have Sakai coming off of a 3-fight losing streak to Tiavasa, Rosenstrike, and Overeem, all pretty solid people, but that would lead me to believe, and I'm not 100%, that he's got knocked out in all 3 of those fights. So with that coming in against somebody who's going to look to take him down as many times as possible, averages about just under about 3.25 takedowns in a fight. You're going to see Spivak look to take down Sakai and just smash the shit out of this man on the ground. And while Sakai's style is more, he's going to march you down and come in with his strikes. I think he's just going to play into a couple big shots, a level change, and he's going to get dropped on his ass as many times as it's going to take for Spivak to finish this and call it a day. I think, yeah, you can maybe go because it's the big boys that you can go with a shot on Sakai as a dog if you want to by KO, but really I think Spivak's going to just take him down as much as possible. You're going to probably at least get 2 takedowns probably before it's finished.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Sakai's on his way out. I don't really like Sakai's grappling. I don't really like his striking, man. I find he's very sloppy in what he throws. As much as Spivak has shown weaknesses in the past, I think he's the better all-around fighter. And even on the feet, I feel like he can keep it. He can really keep it close. But I'm with you. Like, I think he just takes him down and probably smashes him. I think it happens early and often. The under 2.5 right now is sitting at -165, and I don't hate that at all because I feel like somebody's going to get clipped within the first 2 rounds. I would assume a Spivak ground and pound, but could go either way. If it stays standing, Sakai could also land the big shot. As you said, they're big heavyweights, so they'll be throwing leather for sure.
Okay, next fight in the card, we have Ariana Lipsky against Priscilla. Catches everything, the kitchen sink, the car, the everything on her jaw. It is possibly the most absorbed punches or most punches absorbed per minute out of any fighter on the UFC roster. She actually absorbed 7.91 strikes per minute. She lands 4.4, so it's not even worth the squeeze. Like, she's not getting a 5.5 or a 6 that maybe makes it worth it at all because she has power. She's almost 50% less. She is 50% less. So she's marching forward. She's getting 2-to-1 hit every fight. And for me, this is going to be an interesting. It's going to be fun to watch. I know that a lot of people don't believe in Lipsky, but I think this is a spot for her. I think she's just going to tag the shit out of Cachoeira in this spot. I can see this maybe being a spot for you to jump on the other side against me, but there is power in Cachoeira's hands. She may touch Lipsky up a little bit, but I just don't. And I know she's game, and I know she's just willing to go forward, but it's just going to play right into Lipsky's hands. I think we're going to see like a nice, potentially even finish, man. But what's the lines currently sitting at with this one?
Lipsky is sitting at -171 with the return on Priscilla +146.
Yeah, I mean, you can only take so many strikes, whether it's women's MMA, whether it's heavyweights, whether it's lightweights, and I just think that Lipsky's has the kind of striking that could really potentially finish this fight. I don't know if that's a take or not, but definitely would lean Lipsky in this fight. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, we're gonna be on the same side on this one again, man. I don't really think much Priscilla. I think she's kind of a walking punching bag. And I feel like she wins fights whenever she does. It is because her opponents can't get her out of there. We've seen Lipsky win by submission. She has a couple TKOs on her record as well. Her striking's crisp. It's definitely crisper than Priscilla. So you got to really ask the question, like, where does Priscilla really win minutes in this fight? And the only way she wins minutes is probably by bullying her and outstriking her. But as you just said, absorbing 9 strikes per minute isn't something that's ever going to look good to the judges. And Lipsky does have the striking credentials to put it on her. So I think the lines for him, man, this card does kind of worry me because there's a lot of spots and a lot of favorites I like, but the lines aren't overly blown up. Like -170, like I feel like this line should be wider. I'm questioning why, but I think Ariana all day, man.
Frying Pan has a win that's not a win over Kim. She has A win over Gina Mazzani. Fuck, who cares? Against Dobson. I mean, what are we talking about here? And she lost. Is that Luana Carolina I'm looking at? Like, I don't know, man. I'm just saying, she's gonna catch everything in and around her jaw piece. She's going to sleep potentially. If not, it's going to be a like 2 to 3 to 1 striking affair that is going to make Lipsky look really good. Not going in heavy on it regardless, because I got to be careful. I don't want to get Anthony Smith this week. Right.
Yeah.
I said it, there was value there. I wasn't saying go all in on it. But anyway,
I don't think you know what the biggest problem last week is. Me, I'm sure you and every other fucking capper put low level heavyweights on the top of our card.
I don't want to talk about that either. Thank you
Like-
for bringing that up, though. I was glad that we didn't do a recap, but yeah, I think we all. I think for the most part, most people didn't go high, heavy on the Smith situation or even talking about it as a good dog. They stayed away from it. No one wanted to touch it for those reasons. Look how that played out. But yeah, Mays was a trap for everyone last week.
Yeah.
Boy, was that a trap from little Egyptian Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
Okay, so next fight on the card we have the man who knows who is on the Epstein flight list, the man who knows where the body's buried, the guy who I don't know what, like he's got to know exactly every secret that every exec has done and to still be fighting in the UFC. Sam Alvey. All jokes aside, I think this is his last fight in this contract. That he got sort of a gimme contract recently against Michael Olajaychuk. Is going to get tagged up really badly in this fight. I'm gonna pull up the stats right now, but we know what Olajaychuk does. That man marches forward, and he has some solid boxing, man. I love watching this guy go. He just comes forward and he lands big shots, and he just applies pressure. So if we're looking at this matchup, it's just not. This is a bad matchup for Alvey. We have a guy who lands 4.75. He absorbs 4.27 in Michael Olajaychuk. And Alvey, his output only just came up, I think, in his last fight. Before that, his output hasn't been there for a long time. He sits back, throws from his hip, waits for you to throw to catch you with these big hooks. And unless he comes out with some crazy, I'm about to lose my contract, I just don't know, man. I think this fight likely will finish inside the distance no matter what way it goes. And it's probably juiced up at this point. But I know that Olajaychuk right now is like minus 700 or minus 800, something stupid like that. It's creeping. So it's really the fight's untouchable at this point unless you're going dog. And you can do what you want with that. But I've learned my lesson on going Sam Alvey dog, staying away from that. But the whole narrative of it being his last fight, if he wants to fight desperate, I mean, it could be there. He's got a chip on his shoulder. So I wouldn't hate anybody if they wanted to go that way and paint that narrative and make it work for themselves, but I'm just not touching it. What about you?
Yeah, minus 700, man. You can't get near that. I think it's fair. Sam Alvey said this is his last fight, regardless. The UFC will not sign another contract with him. Thank God, because this is going to probably be his 7th straight loss. But yeah, it's hard to find a spot on this one too, though, because Sam Alvey doesn't generally get finished. You think he probably will in this spot. The KO is sitting at a minus 110. There's definitely value there from the minus 700 for sure. And then Michelle by points is plus 185. So I like the KO. I think it's probably live to happen. Like, I'm assuming Sam Alvey's on his way out, despite what he's saying, that he's going to get the KO on his way out and right off in the sunset. But I like Michael. I like Michael by KO. But I don't think I can get myself around to betting this fight just because I don't see an angle I'm confident in. Maybe even if I'm doing 2 parlays, maybe I'll put minus 110, plus 185 in another one. But these would just be all really random takes at this point.
Okay, next fight in the card, we have Terence Mckinney against Eric Gonzalez against, this is a situation of who's going to outlast who. We know that Mckinney is minus 1,000 right now. I don't really get it because although he has all the skills and if he matches 2 up against each other, sure, he should beat him handily with some wrestling, some ground and pound, maybe TKO. that's fine. But this man has shown time and time again he is unreliable when it comes to getting hit. He gets hit. He's coming in there, press. He's landing, and then he just gasses, just dumps it all out. So I get it that it's Dober. Dober doesn't go away. Fine, everybody can talk about that. But I'm just Terence McKinney scares me. His gas tank scares me. So I don't get the line itself. I think likely he will get Gonzalez out of there, but I just don't see it being so wide. So if somebody wants to take a shot on the dog, do it up. But I don't think that's a wise play. In the one fight that Eric Gonzalez has had in the UFC, he only landed about 3 shots per minute and absorbed 6. So, and that was against Jim Miller, who KO'd him in the second round, I think that was. So, I mean, the sample size is sort of useless.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What's your take on this one, man? I just feel like with what I saw from McKinney against Dober and in times in other fights too, he's just, although he comes through and just destroys people, I just don't see this line being so crazily wide and legitimately wide.
Yeah, no, and I agree with what you're saying, man, because if this fight gets extended, Terence could definitely be in some trouble. And I definitely think like Terence McKinney for me is a fade in the future. It's just I don't really think this is the fight. Once again, it's not like I'm gonna run to the window to lay -1,000 on him either, though. But yeah, like Terence is gonna win this fight, man. I'm pretty confident in that. It's just a matter of how you want to play it. Like even Terence McKinney round 1 is -200. Like there's no value at all left on this. Like McKinney by KO is +120. McKinney by decision is +125. But you put the two together, they're smarter than that. It's -400. So Terence McKinney's gonna win this fight, man. It's just I don't know exactly how he's gonna do it. I'm assuming it's gonna be by submission. I don't think he's even gonna bother entertaining the striking, but I could be wrong, man. This dude likes to come out and throw bombs just the same.
And really, I mean, I guess the one thing you could look at is what Dober did in his last fight. You could sort of make a case for his loss against Dober doesn't look as bad, but I don't know. I'm going to stay away from that. Obviously, I know everybody will, but even trying to fade him, it's going to be toxic. Like trying to fade him or back him, it's just going to be weird. So next fight on the card, we have your favorite nickname, your favorite fighter, Brian Pooh Bear Battle against Takashi Sato. So we have Brian Battle coming in, formerly of the Ultimate Fighter, and Battle. So far, I mean, I think it's only 2 fights in the UFC so far, but he has landed 7 strikes versus absorbing just on about 4.5 strikes per minute. And we know with the style, he sort of comes in, even karate style, almost at points, throwing some kicks, some side kicks, some teeps to keep you away. And then also has some grappling as well too. Obviously, is I don't know if he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but he's up there in his belts in jiu-jitsu. Should have looked into that. But I don't think that's going to be something that we're going to have to look at in this fight anyways. I think that this fight's going to predominantly be staying on the feet. I think he's going to be able to use some of his size and his leverage to keep it on the feet, even if he's pressed against the cage. I know that Sato's not going to really want to take it there anyways. And as they stand, Sato, like he throws 2.28 strikes per minute, and he's absorbing double. So, I mean, I just think this is going to be a battle decision. That's probably one of my strongest plays of the week, something that's already been hammered. Battle decision or battle maybe even 3rd round. And decision is one I always like to sort of crutch on, but I think a battle's going to walk with the decision here. I don't think it's really a hard, like you don't have to be a genius to see it on the feet. I just see that he's going to be able to stay out of trouble with Sato. And I know a lot of people are actually looking at Sato as a live dog here. I don't see it. I think Battle wins. A little bit more athletic. He'll be able to push the pace with the cardio and just do what he's got to do, land volume, and walk away with the W.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think Battle is just gonna be able to ride it out. With Sato, like his win condition is the KO. That's kind of the reality of it. Although he beat Jason Witt by ground and pound, you really gotta flick the guy's chin, and we'll be talking about that in a minute to put him out. His losses to like Bilal Muhammad and stuff like that, like whatever, that's it is higher level competition than Battle by a very long stretch. But as a battle strike, he's just that much better. Like Sato is gonna have to come in and land the strike. Battle's a big dude, and realistically, Battle could take this to the ground as well if he wants to. So, and we've all seen Sato get exposed on the ground. So I'm on Battle. I like the decision. I don't like the fact that it's minus 125 because to me that's a little bit juiced for this type of fight, especially the low level experience of battle, but might be a parlay piece.
Okay. Next fight in the card, we have the Lord of the Shadow Realm, the man who's lived there more than most, the man with the rustified chin, the none other than Jason Witt. Everybody's making their versions of jokes this week, and this man's chin is it's something to bet against, right? Like that's just almost the play. You got to look at who he's fighting and to see if they have some striking potential. We have some juice on the other side. I don't know what the juice is right now, but we have Quinlan coming off of a suspension for steroids. But this guy came in and made a point in his fight, landing 16 strikes per minute. So I don't even know how long that fight lasted. It was something I didn't get to tape, but for me, I would remember when Quinlan had won that fight. But for me, I'm just gonna fade the chin of Witt. I don't think that even if he were to get a takedown or two in this fight, because he lands about just under 7 takedowns in the fight. I just think he's going to get clipped at some point. I don't think he's going to really do much with the takedowns. I think Quinlan's going to be able to get back up, and I think at some point that chin gets just shattered. The glass canoe. Fuck. Yeah, man, I think that's the deal. So I think Witt gets finished in this fight. I think it's pretty simple to call. I don't know what the lines are currently sitting at for KO for Quinlan or any fight doesn't go or round props, but I'm sure you could enlighten me.
Yeah, Quinlan right now sitting at a minus 230. Jason Witt's plus 185. The KO for Quinlan is minus 115. Fight doesn't go is sitting at minus 220. So, yeah, like I think this is a better fight than people think, but I think Jason Witt is gonna succumb and get KO'd. I don't hate the stab on the second round if you're really trying to get some plus money and you don't want to lay the chalk on the minus 115 KO. I think second round KO is live. In every Jason Witt fight, I think he's live in the first round because ultimately he is going to rush you to get that takedown. I said the same thing when he fought Philip Rowe. I think I took Philip Rowe at whatever plus 180 or something after the first round because that's what Jason Witt does. He takes people down, but second round, he always comes in a little bit slower, a little bit sloppier, and ends up getting clipped because he can't push for the takedown same way he could in the first. But as you said, at some point in the time, Josh is going to clip him. Josh's striking looks on point. His grappling is also very good if you watch his regional scene tape. And yeah, I feel like regardless where this fight takes place, Josh is going to win. It's just a matter of when he's going to find that chin.
Okay, so we're on the same page with that one. I mean, a lot of these are pretty clear cut as far as the win condition, and the percentages are so high you almost have to even roll with it. It's just hard to find where you're going to get your meat on the bone with some of these scraps.
Sure.
Next fight in the card, we have Corey Mckenna against Miranda Granger. I know Miranda Granger's coming off of a pretty long layoff. How long has it been now? It's over 3 years?
Yeah, I think it's 3 years, just over it now, because she had a kid, right?
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, her last victories over Ashley Yoder, Amanda Lemos, which obviously that sits pretty decently right now. But if we're looking at where this is like, I mean, on the feet, both girls pretty well similar. I mean, we have almost 3 strikes landed per minute for Granger. Mckenna's 3.64 strikes landed, and they're pretty much absorbing as much as they're throwing. There's going to be likely a kickboxing match that plays out. If Mckenna's smart, she may want to try to take this down to the ground. And she likely will shoot at least 1 or 2 takedowns. But I don't know, man. For me, this is something I'm probably going to stay off for the most part. I see this one. McKenna's likely to play, but I mean, coming off of 3-year layoff, can Granger win a stand-up battle? Potentially. You may want to look at like a split decision if you want to mess around with it, but there's not really anything that's pointing me in direction definitively. So this is ultimately a stay off for me.
Yeah, I'll start with the dog on this one. Like, not a heavy take.
Sure.
Once again, it's women's MMA. It's not really my forte. The thing that gets me is Corey Mckenna. She's young, and she's born in 1999. Like,
Jesus.
Yeah, she's fucking young, man. And there's a 10-inch reach advantage for Miranda. Like we saw with Corey in her fight against Elise Reed. kind of a lot of poor fight IQ, right? Like with Elise Reed, she had a clear advantage on the feet, and Corey Mckenna didn't really shoot for the takedowns like she could. Whenever she started to get them, you can tell that she was the clear person who should have taken control of that fight. But she gave away those opportunities, and it's hard for me to bet people with poor fight IQ. It's hard for me to bet juiced women's MMA lines. They both land roughly about the same strikes per minute. Mckenna tends to absorb more strikes per minute, and she only shoots, as you said, like one takedown per fight, and that to me that's worrisome. So I'll side with the dog on this one, and it'll just be a small play on my part, but I will take her by decision at plus 300. I think there's a lot of value on that play. I think this fight's definitely going 3 rounds. But I'm not like Corey Mckenna by decision is plus 145. And I think that's really subjective to the fact that she's going to shoot takedowns, which she hasn't shown in her last couple of fights that she has the intelligence to go out there and push a grappling heavy game plan.
Okay. All right, next fight on the card, we have Myra Buenos Silva against Stephanie Edgar. This fight is likely going to play on the feet, at least for a little bit in the beginning, and you're going to likely see Stephanie Edgar try to close that distance down, get in on the hips and try to get Silva down to the ground and get into a dominant situation. Silva slick with their submissions as well too, but if Edgar can get into a top situation and just start landing some strikes, I don't know if she's going to get her out of there, but she can definitely win some big moments in the fight and potentially win a decision. I know that a lot of people are actually even looking at Silva. Silva's dog right now. What's the line sitting at currently?
So the line's flipped since last time. Like last time I looked at this line, Edgar was actually the dog, but right now Stephanie Edgar's a minus 125 and plus 105 on Silva.
Yeah, so I mean, there is some sub potential for Silva on the ground, depending on how they would land, or if it's a little bit of a scramble or situations like that. But for me, on the feet, if we're looking at it, Silva is going to want to try to keep this at distance and just try to land as much volume as possible. But I don't know. I think I'm going to lean on Edgar. I think Edgar's going to get this to the ground and win some big, moments on the ground, smashing Silva. And I'm going to lean with Stephanie Edgar in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to lean this fight probably goes to decision. Like, it's going to be closely contested. And honestly, this just seems like a type of fight that regardless who you bet on, you're probably going to end up on the wrong side of it. I think the grappling's fairly even. The striking is going to be fairly even. Edgar is probably a little bit more live to get it done if she can get a sub. But, like, once again, it's going to be close. And I think, like you should in a lot of these fights, is just bet the over. Like, I don't see there being really a heavy win condition on each one of their sides. So, or even as you said in last fight, split decision.
It's going to be a case of Edgar sort of throwing a little bit less volume, trying to close that distance down and take her down. If she can manage to take her down with some strikes over the course of 3 rounds, then she's likely going to win with some strike volume on the ground. If she doesn't and she's kept at bay, she's probably going to get tagged up on the feet. And I'm with you on that. You can go splitty either way, and don't really know how this one plays out. But I'll still lean Edgar. I think she's going to be able to get some takedowns in. But yeah, not a hot take, because this is a pretty hard card. We'll just say that. We'll leave it there. All right. So if we were to look at if you could actually put together any kind of a even 2-person parlay, what do you think you could do? I like Brian Battle decision paired up with. What do you think? What would be a good thing to add that with?
So let's take a look here. What you got? Brian Battle by points, and
You can go time prop.
yeah, it's probably a good way to and I like Lipsky, man. Lipsky minus 185. That line's jumped since we started this podcast. She was a minus 171 whenever we started this. Now she's a minus 185.
Well, is there any podcasts that have been released today? I'm sure somebody's podcast probably made that line move. Definitely not ours.
Dogger Pass comes out today, so.
Okay, they probably moved the line. There you go.
Yeah, you put the two together, it's plus 177. So it's not a bad look. I think you can throw Luque in there too, and it's probably a good way to tackle it with Luque being a minus 190. That gives you plus 323. It's a good look.
Okay. Another spot I definitely like is actually, and it is lower level, but it's more just exposing Usman. I think that Usman's gonna lose, plain and simple. I think I just don't see him landing that big shot. I don't see him really holding and getting any dominant positions against Pauga. I think that he's gonna get outstruck on the feet and eventually get put out to pasture. And hopefully we don't see him again, because I don't know if the level's there. I don't mean to run some hate, but it's just I hate when people get brought into the UFC when I know there's guys that work their ass off. You know, they're working their ass off and they're actually stringing together some solid wins, and you get, you know, little brothered in. It's I don't know. Anyways, what am I hating for? It's good for everybody to get a shot and make some money, right? But either way, I think that's a spot to exploit. I like the little sneaky parlay that we have. Stay off the Sam Alvey fight. Don't touch it. And Jason Witt getting dustified. I think that's definitely something that we could look at. So, any other thoughts that you have before we close this down?
No, man. Like I think we kind of hit the nail on the head. Things are looking up in the MMA world. This is kind of the last of not like the crappier cards, but there's been some tricky ones over the last couple of weeks. A lot of last minute replacements, that type of stuff. So we get through this card, then we have the Usman card coming up, and the fights start to pick back up again and more of a favorable situation. So yeah, just remember there's 13 fights on the card, man. You don't have to bet every single one of them.
No, and even as you listen to us or anybody else you listen to, you already sort of have your spots that you like. You're not listening to us or anybody else to mimic the exact picks that we're going through. You're looking to find a couple spots to be reaffirmed, or you're looking to find something sneaky that you didn't see. And hopefully that's what we can bring week to week, is maybe find that little angle that maybe you didn't see yourself, or reaffirm some of your spots. But you know, just don't follow me on a dog play like Anthony Smith, because you'll get your leg fractured, and you know, that's how that play goes down. Man, that one hurt. I thought he was gonna tag him. Anyway, we'll move forward into next week. Look forward to some of the next fights coming up. I love Dana White Contender Series. We got Bo Nickel coming up as well too. So hopefully we can actually maybe even get some info out on the Dana White Contender Series for next week. I know we haven't touched that yet this season. But we've been winning, so maybe we should share. For Nick Eagle, I'm Callum McGregor. Don't Tap Podcast. You know, if you're still listening after we're coming up to a year, I think, or pretty close on a year now, you must like it.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Let's go.
Let's go.